Welcome to our Daily Forex market analysis, and this is in preparation for trading on August 30th, 2018. Just a quick disclaimer before we get started. This is for educational purposes only. Trading is a risky business, so please be careful with your money. All right, so as usual, we'll start off by taking a look at our upcoming news here. So this evening, we do have the business confidence numbers for New Zealand that are bound to have an impact on New Zealand dollar, and then private capital expenditure for Australia, which will have an impact as well, as they are both red or major news. Tomorrow here on Thursday, not a ton of critical data. We do have GDP numbers for Canada. Again, with the NAFTA negotiations going on currently, GDP numbers or these numbers out of Canada become important. So make sure we pay attention to these. Other than that, no other red news for tomorrow. And let's go on to our charts now. We'll start off by taking a look at euro dollar as usual. All right, so with the euro yesterday, we had a pin bar here. So since then, price dropped, came into the next level of support resistance, and then it has bounced off of that. And now we have a bullish pin bar, actually. So based on the daily candle close here, so this is where we are. Came into that support and resistance level. Okay, so based on this looks bullish. I'm looking for price to go and retest this 1.1750 level. This is the same level that we had talked about yesterday. So overall, still looking for that. And we can still get this type of a move that we had talked about yesterday, because now we are coming into some important support and resistance area. So overall, right now, my bias is still to the upside, because as we can see, there's this trend line going upward. So bias is to the upside, but I'd be mindful of this support and resistance area, because price has chance of bouncing off of that. Now, another thing to keep in mind is that if price does cross to the other side, then chances are very high that we are going into this next support and resistance level, which is at 1.1850 level. So these are the same levels that we had talked about yesterday. Still looking for price to go higher. Now we'll just have to see which level of price will go to. And we'll take a look at dollar index in a little bit. But right now, euro US dollar looking bullish. Pound dollar here, this one actually was had quite a change in direction here. So for the British pound, it was looking negative yesterday, but there was Brexit news that came out today that that the cabinet is supporting Prime Minister Theresa May's Brexit strategy, and as a result of that, British pound jumped up. So yesterday we had a nice red candle here, pin bar. I was looking for price to drop, but instead we saw a big major move to the upside. So that's a big bullish candle close, engulfing candle close here. So that has changed the outlook for British pound now, looking bullish, looking for price to go into 1.3080 and potentially even higher. And the next level after that would be 1.3180. So 1.3080 will be the first target. 1.3180 will be the next target. Now, we do need to be mindful of pullbacks. When we have big moves like that, usually we tend to get pullbacks from there. So in terms of pullback, I'm looking for a price to pull back into potentially into 1.29. 7 or 80 level, and then looking for a bit of a move like that to the upside. So bias is bullish for pound yen. So if we go to our 1 hour chart, our support resistance is at 1.2980, and so is our daily pivot. So if we were to make it move slightly lower, that's where our pin is. And very close to that is our daily pivot as well. So 1.2980 area becomes quite important. So this huge move up here, or this inefficient move to the upside here, was caused by the by the news that cabinet was supporting Prime Minister Theresa May's Brexit strategy there. So that's what we are looking at. I'm looking for price to be bullish here, but do look out for a pullback. So overall bias is to the upside for pound dollar. Aussie dollar here, this one has dropped. So we are seeing a bearishness in that. Our volume is showing a bearish here as well after going neutral for the couple of days. So bias is to the downside for Aussie dollar. Now, there is news coming out tonight in the Asian session for Aussie dollar. So be mindful of that. But overall bias is to the downside. I'm looking for price to drop. And in this case, the first target would be 0.7230 level, which is the bottom of this candle. And next one would be 0.7200. So bias is to the downside for Aussie dollar. New Zealand dollar here, this one is still neutral. It's going sideways at the moment. It seems to be running into this resistance right here, important resistance for New Zealand dollar. And as long as it stays down here, now there is news coming out for business confidence numbers coming out for New Zealand dollar as well. So if the business confidence numbers are negative, we can, of course, expect it to go lower. But right now, it's very neutral. So today we had a neutral candle close. We have pins on both sides. Price has just gone sideways, hasn't really moved much over the entire day. Now, do keep in mind we are into our last weekend or last week in August. So this is a long weekend for a lot of people. And then we are kind of back to school, back to work type of scenario. They're going into the Labor Day weekend. So our volumes are low as well in the markets, which means that sometimes market just is dead. And other times, like we saw for the British pound, small thing can move it. Now, Brexit news always has impact on a British pound. So of course it gets moved. But generally, a small piece of news can move the prices because of low liquidity in the market. So for this one here, bias is neutral. And again, the same support and resistance that we looked at yesterday is 0.6720 level here. As long as price stays below this, I'm looking for price to come back down here. Now, if it does break higher, then the target would be 0.6760 level. And that's our important support and resistance level there as well. So bias is neutral for New Zealand dollar. Dollar CAD here, this is a nice bearish pin bar here. We were biased to the downside yesterday as well, but not much of a move as we can see with what I just said. But basically, still looking for move to the downside. Nice pin bar here, bearish pin bar. First target would be 1.2850 on that. And then we're looking for 1.2820 to the downside. So bias for dollar CAD is negative, and it's supported by the volume as well. Euro pound here, this was a big move to the downside, and most of it was due to the Brexit news that we got. We had a big move, or we had a move to the upside for Euro pound and a big drop from there. So usually when we have positive news for British pound, usually euro gets sold against it, and that's why we normally see a big move in Euro pound generally. Most of the Brexit news when it comes out is usually good for British pound. It doesn't make much of a difference, or it's not good for the Eurozone. So this is what we have been seeing all throughout. So as a result of that, we generally tend to see a big move in Euro pound. So we are seeing a big drop here. So that's a big move to the downside. So I would look for a pullback and then another drop here. Bias is bearish, but the type of move that I would be looking for here would be first a pullback, potentially into 0.9020, and then a drop, but overall biases to the downside. We have red volume coming in here as well. Biases to the downside for Euro pound, and target is 0.8950. And then below that, we are getting into the next support and resistance level. That's a big important support level, as we can see, went all the way there as well. So biases to the downside, 89.50 first target, 89.20 will be the second target. Euro Swiss franc, yesterday we had a nice bearish engulfing candle close and we were looking for a drop into 1.3160, came right into that level, did go lower. We have matching volume here as well to support the price action here. So the bias is still to the downside. Next target here that we are looking for would be 1.1300. So 1.1300 to the downside. So bias is bearish for Euro Swiss franc. Pound Swiss franc, as we just talked about, we were looking for price to drop. It did drop initially, and that news then pushed it back up. So now this is a bullish engulfing candle close, and as a result of that, we could see price go up higher again. So it's kind of back into this range that it has been trading in for the last couple of weeks here. So in this case, I would look for price to drop and then potentially go back up again. So bias is bullish. But one thing to keep in mind is if it doesn't break this level there, so 1.2660 level, if it doesn't break that, then it could go back down here as well, because overall bias is still to the downside here, and we have that downtrend going on. So if it doesn't break, so if it does not break that level, chances are it could go hit that level, and trend line, which is also our previous support and resistance here as well, the convergence there could cause it to drop. So keep that in mind. Biases to the upside for pound Swiss franc. Dollar Swiss franc here, we were looking for a drop yesterday. Our target was 0.9700, and it has gone right there. So bias is still to the downside. We are coming into support now, so do keep that in mind, but bias still stays to the downside. Volume supports downside. Next target is 0.9650. So bias is bearish for dollar Swiss franc. Pound yen, this one I was quite interested in this pair yesterday. Unfortunately, with the pound news here, huge move here. And this is looking bullish here. And I'm looking for price to go up higher now as a result of the news that came out. So fundamentals always play a big role in what's going on. So any news, any events, things like that, comments, all of those make a big difference. And support resistance or technicals can completely go to the wayside here. So overall, right now, as a result of this big move, bias is to the upside. I will look for a pullback and then another move to the upside here. So bullish bias, and I think it can go all the way into this 14700 level. So bias is bullish for pound yen. Euro yen here, this one did drop initially, and then it has gone up. Our bias was to the upside. Based on this candle close here, though, this is still looking bullish, looking for price to go into 13100 level, and then potentially even higher into a 13200. So bias is bullish for euro yen. Dollar yen, bullish bias here as well. Nice bullish engulfing candle close. I'm looking for price to go up higher and follow through on this. So 112.20 will be the next target to the upside. So bias is bullish for dollar yen. Aussie yen hasn't really done much. It's just sideways. So may not be the best one to trade. We do have red news coming up for this. So if it does not break above 82.00, chances are this is going to drop, because as we have seen, all the other yen crosses have gone up except for Aussie yen, sorry. So that means there's weakness in Australian dollar, and that's why it hasn't gone up against the yen when everything else has. So this pair could provide us an opportunity to trade. So keep an eye on it. But right now it's neutral. We'll have to see what kind of news comes out for Australian dollar. But if it stays below our support resistance level that we have been looking at, 8,200, then chances are it will drop. But if positive news comes out for Australia, then I'm looking for price to go into this 80 to 80 level. New Zealand dollar here, this one is bullish. We have a nice bullish candle close. looking for price to go up further here into 75.20 level, and then potentially into 75.80 level to the upside. So bullish bias for New Zealand yen. CAD yen, this was looking bullish. It has gone up, and now we're still bullish on this one. I'm looking for it to go into 700 level back at the top of this pin here. So bias is bullish for CAD yen as well. Euro CAD here, very, very neutral close for the day. So price is just going sideways at the moment. We have pins on both sides, small candle body. So overall bias is neutral to bearish for this one. And at this point, it could come down to the bottom of this range here, 1.5050. That's where I would be looking for. So bias is neutral to bearish for Euro CAD. Pound CAD here, this one has gone to the very top of the range. We were coming into support here, bounced off of the support and went right into the top of the range. So now it is bullish, but it's into resistance. So this one we would have to be cautious with. Now our volume has turned green here. So I would look for a break of this. So this one, so now we are into the top of the range scenario. When we are trading a range, two things we have to watch out for. We have to be very mindful of the top of the range because two scenarios can happen. In this case, this will be the scenario I'd be watching out for. However, the second scenario is that price goes into test the high and then comes back into the middle of the range. We do have news coming out for Canadian dollar tomorrow, so that will have an impact on this pair as well. But with British pound going up across the board, this one has gone up as well. So right now it's range bound, and I would treat this as a range bound or trade it as a range bound market. If it breaks above 1.6850 level, then I'm looking for a price to go all the way up. And 1.7050 would be my target. But if it is not able to break 1.6850, chances are it's going to come back into the middle of the range. So I would be looking for price to drop. And in that case, it can go all the way to the bottom. Euro Aussie here, we were bullish on this. Target was 1.6050, which is where the price went to. Now it's still bullish, and I'm looking for price to go higher. Now this 1.6050 is an important support and resistance level. As we can see, price it came into resistance at this level several times, and it struggled with that level. So at this point, for this one, my base case scenario is price goes up, breaks through the level, comes back and back test, and looking for price to go up higher. So bias is bullish, as is supported by the volume down here that has turned green as well now. So bias is bullish for Euro Aussie. But because we are into important resistance level, be careful with this one, because as we can see, price did react at this level several times. So overall bias is to the upside for Euro Aussie. Pound Aussie, huge move in Pound Aussie here. And as we talked about, pound crosses across the board went up. Excuse me. So this one here is bullish. I'd be looking for price to move up further. Now, when price moves so much all of a sudden, we have to be careful because it can pull back, and it generally pulls back. So look towards 1.7700 level for a pullback, or even into 1.7750 for a pullback before a move to the upside. Bias is bullish though. Next target would be 1.7980 level. Pound New Zealand, same thing here. We have a big bullish move here, and this is giving us a bullish bias now. And again, we are into very important support and resistance level here as well. So first target would be 1.9450. And if price goes to the other side, we are looking at 1.9580. So bias is bullish for that, but do look for that pullback. And do keep in mind, we have New Zealand dollar news coming up as well that could have an impact on this. Bias is bullish though. Euro New Zealand here, this one is neutral. So for the last couple of days, we have seen that price did try to push higher, but wasn't successful. And as we can see, price is struggling at the support resistance level. So as long as price stays below this, so right now my bias is neutral to bearish on this one because price is respecting this level. So I would look for price to drop from here, but it can retest this once again. And if New Zealand dollar news comes out negative, then it can break through the resistance here. So those are the couple of factors to watch out for. Overall, just from technical perspective, here my bias would be neutral to bearish, and I would look for 1.7350 level here. And let's move on to gold. Gold bullish close here, and it can go all the way into 1217.20 level. So bias is bullish and targeting the next support resistance level here at 1217.20 level. Oil here, oil has broken through and now looking for price to go higher. 70.60 will be the next target here. So bias is bullish for oil. Let's have a quick look at copper here. Copper is still bullish, even though we have had this bit of a this one here. So as long as it stays, okay, so as long as it stays above 2.67, it's still looking bullish, and I think it could go higher. The next level to watch out for copper would be 2.75. So bias is bullish for this one. Okay, so next one, we'll take a look at Bitcoin, and then we will wrap it up. Bitcoin still holding above 68.80 level here. Not a very bullish move today. So it's kind of susceptible to the downside right now because it hasn't been able to break the next important level, which was right here. And this is where we see the big gap. So if it stays below 71.50 level, chances are it's going to drop because today's move is not looking very good. But if it does get through this, and then it does have this gap and has potential to the upside all the way to 77.50 level. But right now it is looking a bit susceptible. It is very volatile. Yes, I agree. But if you take a look at it, overall, it's just been range bound here for the last several months, since May, essentially. It's just been trading within this range and hasn't really found any kind of true direction, just sideways at the moment. All right, any questions before we wrap it up? It is a big range, yes. Oh, yes, dollar index. Let's have a quick peek at our dollar index here. The dollar index is looking a little weak. Okay, so looking weak, we had talked about 9,400 support yesterday. So this one still looking bearish. I will look for a price to drop into this 9,400 level or 9,420. And then we are back into this support and resistance level. And that will be an important point for the dollar index here. So looking bearish right now, and 9,400 will be the target. But of course, it can go lower. But for today, my target would be 9,400 for dollar index here, bearish. So which means our dollar crosses are likely to go up. Anything else? Okay, so I think that's all for the questions. So we will wrap it up. You guys have a wonderful evening, and I will see you again tomorrow. Bye for now.